Okay guys, this side of the trailer is set up primarily for tool storage, refrigerator, microwave. This open shelf right here where as I'm doing stuff I can just throw a tool here instead of having to put it away if I'm still using it. But this under here, between this cabinet and this cabinet, I cut these slots here and didn't put this cabinet all the way down, primarily so that I could put my siding brake in. I was a little bit worried about this when I was first building it. I went through two different designs of this cabinet alone because I was worried about the support for this cabinet, especially since it's going to have a fridge in there and tools. I originally did it as a floating cabinet, but I was really apprehensive about that, so I tore it all apart and rebuilt it with this so that there's support that goes all the way down to the lower cabinet. Now it's not as good as having it go straight down here, and I know in some other people's tool trailers they've got it so if they have a floating cabinet here, they add a little stick that goes down to the bottom cabinet or to the floor to support it while it drives. But I wanted to take as many steps away from having setup or tear down as possible, and so I figured I'd try this with this kind of like a floating shelf style support, and I added an extra one over here in the middle and then cut them specifically to be able to fit around my brake here. So I'm working by myself today, so this is my attempt to get my brake set in place. It's such a big thing that I just tried really hard to do all the dimensions properly, and so if I'm off, then I'm going to have to then revise or do more cutting on these cabinets, which, fingers crossed, that's not what I have to do. Okay. So since I'm working by myself right now, I'm going to make an attempt to lift this end up and remove the legs over here. Here's the legs. And there goes my tape measure. I'm going to slide this over onto the cabinet. There we go. Now it's wanting to tip because I got it only partially up there. Now I got to see if I can get the same accomplished on this side and still make it so that the handle stays within the space that I built. So I had a cabinet here and a cabinet there, and then did upper cabinets over here to create that space for the handle. So I just got to make sure it slides in the right spot. Fingers crossed. So we'll take this. Yep, that's clamped under that cabinet there. And looks like we got to slide that way a little bit. Okay. I've got to have it set so that this edge right here stays in front of the cabinet so that when my handles drop down, I can grab them without it hitting everything. We got plenty of space for the handle here. I'll take you over here. So there's plenty of space for the handle. There. there. Honestly, it might even be possible, since this doesn't go back very far, or maybe it's not going back very far because it's bumping into something. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. So I got to figure out where that's bumping and then revise from there. So anyway, fortunately it fits and it didn't fall. I'll do some troubleshooting here and see if we can get it to work. So here's the problem that I ran into when installing the brake here. Everything fit really nicely, but the handle wouldn't go past here. So it would stop at the bottom of this cabinet, and it seems that when I measured the height of the brake, I measured it while it was closed and forgot to take into consideration how much it raises. So I left about 1 inch for it to raise, but it raises about 2 inches. So I had to notch this out and did a little bit of a sloped cut back there so that it could groove around this in order for it to raise all the way. And that sucks because the cabinet looked pretty nice, but once I touch this up with paint, I think it'll still look pretty nice, and you won't really notice it once you get moving and started working. This cabinet over here, because of the spacing that I wanted over here, this ended up being a little bit taller anyway, so it didn't cut into this one. So if I would have done this shelf just another inch higher, then I wouldn't have had this issue. That looks a lot nicer where I didn't have to notch it out over here, but that's okay. I think depending on how I use this space, I might be able to cover this up anyway, because I might get a removable lip. So put a removable lip here that would cover that space and you wouldn't really be able to see it. But we'll see how things go from here. For right now, as soon as I get it strapped down, I'll be able to drive around, it'll stay put, and I've got a fully functioning siding brake that I never ever have to get out, in and out of a truck again.